This is a story of struggle, failure, and unstoppable determination. From a poor boy in China to one of the most powerful businessmen in the world, Jack Ma never gave up. Stay until the end. You'll see how one man's vision changed everything. Chapter 1. A Humble Beginning. In the city of Hangzhou, China, a baby boy was born in 1964. His name, Ma Yun. But one day, the world would know him as Jack Ma. His family was not rich. They lived in a small house. Life was simple, sometimes difficult. His parents were traditional musicians. They played instruments, sang old songs, told beautiful stories, but their music did not bring much money. The family struggled. Food was never wasted. Every coin mattered. Still, Jack was a happy child. He was small, thin, and full of energy. His eyes were sharp, always watching, always learning. He asked many questions, sometimes too many. Why is the sky blue? Why do birds fly? Why do we have to study? Some adults laughed, others ignored him. But Jack kept asking, searching, wondering. Then something happened that changed his life. In the 1970s, China was closed to the world. Foreigners were rare. But when Jack was 9 years old, something new arrived in Hangzhou. Tourists. The government decided to open the city to visitors. For the first time, Jack saw people with blonde hair, dark skin, different clothes. He was amazed. Who were they? Where did they come from? What language were they speaking? Jack wanted to talk to them. But there was a problem. He didn't speak English. Not a single word. Most children would give up. But Jack, he was different. He made a decision. He would learn. Every morning at sunrise, he got on his bicycle. He rode for 40 minutes to a hotel where foreigners stayed. He waited outside, smiling, hoping someone would talk to him. When tourists walked past, he greeted them. Hello? He pointed at things and tried to say their names. He listened. He copied. Day after day, month after month. At first, it was difficult. People didn't understand him. Some ignored him. Some walked away. But Jack was not embarrassed. He did not stop. He kept trying. One day, a tourist couple noticed him. They were kind. They spoke slowly. They answered his questions. They told him about their home, their culture, their language. Jack was excited. He started guiding them around Hangzhou, showing them the beautiful West Lake, the temples, the old streets. In return, they taught him English. For 9 years, Jack practiced. He spoke English whenever he could. He wrote letters to his new foreign friends. His English improved. He learned not just a language, but a new way of thinking. But school? That was another story. Jack was not a top student. He failed his exams, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Math was the worst. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't understand it. His teachers were disappointed. His classmates laughed. "You will never succeed," some said. But Jack did not give up. He believed in himself. He finally passed his exams and got into Hangzhou Teachers Institute. It was not a famous university. It was not his first choice, but Jack was happy. He had made it. He worked hard. He studied English, met new friends, and kept his dream alive. He still didn't know what the future held. He didn't know that one day he would become one of the most famous businessmen in the world. All he knew was this: he would never stop learning, never stop trying, and never stop believing in himself. And so his journey began. Chapter 2: Struggling with School. Jack loved English. He loved learning new words, listening to foreign visitors, and discovering the world through language. Every morning, he rode his bicycle for miles just to meet tourists. He smiled, practiced, and asked questions. It made him feel alive. It gave him confidence. But there was a problem. School. Jack's enthusiasm for English did not extend to his other subjects. Science? Difficult? History? Boring? Math? A disaster. Numbers and formulas made no sense to him. No matter how hard he tried, he could not solve the problems. He studied late into the night. He asked teachers for help. But nothing worked. And then he failed. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Each time he sat in the exam hall, nervous, his hands sweaty, his heart pounding. He tried to focus. He tried to remember the lessons. But when he looked at the test paper, the numbers blurred. The formulas disappeared. His mind went blank. When the results came, it was always the same story. Failed. Again. His teachers sighed. "Maybe you're not smart enough," they said. "Maybe school is not for you." His classmates whispered. Some laughed, others avoided him. Jack felt ashamed. He felt small. But he did not give up. He took the exam again. He studied harder. He told himself, "This time I will pass." And yet, failure. Was he stupid? He knew he wasn't. But the world around him made him feel that way. He watched as his friends moved forward, passing their exams, going to better schools, making plans for the future. And he? He was stuck, left behind. His parents worried. They wanted the best for him, but they did not know what to do. In China, education was everything. Without good grades, there was no future, no job, no respect, no success. Jack felt the pressure. He walked through the streets of Hangzhou, deep in thought. The city was changing. More tourists arrived. More businesses opened. But Jack? He was still the boy who failed his exams. One evening, he sat by West Lake, watching the water ripple. He thought about his life, his dreams, his failures. Was this the end? Was he just average? Number. He clenched his fists. Number. Failure was not the end. It was just a lesson. He would not let it stop him. Jack tried again. This time something changed. He stopped focusing on his weaknesses. Instead, he used his strengths. He knew he was not a math genius, but he was creative. He was determined, and he was great at English. So, he changed his approach. He found new ways to study. He asked more questions. He refused to give up. And finally, he passed. It was not a perfect score. It was not an easy win. But it was enough. Enough to get him into university. Hangzhou Teachers Institute. It was not a famous school. It was not prestigious. But Jack did not care. He was grateful. After so many failures, after so many rejections, he had made it. His parents sighed with relief. His teachers were surprised. His classmates? Some still doubted him. But Jack? He was ready for the next chapter. University was a new world. New friends, new lessons, new challenges. Jack studied hard. He worked part-time to earn extra money. He helped other students with English, and for the first time in his life, he felt hope. But life does not move in a straight line. Success is never easy. Jack still had many struggles ahead, many obstacles, many moments of doubt. But deep inside, he knew one thing. He would never stop trying, never stop learning, never stop believing in himself. Because failure, it was just the beginning. Chapter 3. Rejection after rejection. Jack worked hard to get into university. It wasn't easy. His grades were not great. His math scores were terrible. Many people told him to give up, but he didn't. He tried again and again. And finally, he was accepted. Hangzhou Teachers Institute. It wasn't the best university. It wasn't famous. But it was his chance. He studied English. He loved the language. He practiced every day. He helped his classmates. He worked hard. And after 4 years, he graduated. He was ready to start his career. But then, bad news. Jack wanted a job, a good job, a job where he could use his skills. He applied to company after company. He sent letters. He waited for calls. He knocked on doors. But every time, The answer was the same. No. One rejection, then another, and another. At first, he told himself, "It's okay. Keep trying." But the rejections kept coming. He applied to 30 different jobs. He got rejected 30 times. His friends found jobs. His classmates moved forward. Jack stayed behind. He started to wonder, was something wrong with him? Then, one day, he heard that KFC was hiring. The fast food chain had just arrived in China. They needed workers. Jack saw an opportunity. It wasn't his dream job, but it was a job. He walked into the interview full of hope. There were 24 applicants. Jack sat with them, waiting, nervous but excited. One by one, they went inside. One by one, they came out smiling. When it was Jack's turn, he did his best. He spoke clearly. He was polite. He smiled. He answered every question. But later, when they announced the results, Jack's heart sank. 23 people got the job. One person did not. Jack Ma was the only one rejected. He couldn't believe it. "Why?" he asked. "What did I do wrong?" No answer, no explanation, just another rejection. Jack felt lost. He had failed his exams. He had struggled to get into university. Now he couldn't even get a job at KFC. He didn't stop trying. He applied to be a policeman. He went to the interview with confidence. But once again, rejection. "You're not good enough," they said. "You're not what we're looking for." Jack walked home, thinking. Again and again, doors were closing in front of him. It felt like the whole world was saying, "You are not meant for success." But deep inside, he didn't believe that. He refused to believe that. He had one last idea. Jack had always dreamed of studying in America. He had heard about Harvard University, one of the best schools in the world. Maybe if he could study there, his future would change. Maybe, finally, someone would see his potential. So, he applied. He wrote his application carefully. He sent it with hope. He waited. Then the letter arrived. "We are sorry to inform you." Harvard had rejected him, but Jack didn't stop. He applied again. Another rejection. He applied again. Another 10 times. Harvard rejected him 10 times. Most people would give up. Most people would say, "Maybe this is not for me." Jack did not. Rejection after rejection, failure after failure. He kept going. He was not special. He was not rich. He was not a genius. But he had something more important. He had perseverance. Maybe the world was not ready for him. Maybe he just needed to wait for the right moment. Maybe something bigger was waiting for him. Something greater than he could ever imagine. Chapter 4. The Power of Never Giving Up. Jack knew failure well. It followed him like a shadow. It was there in his childhood, in his school years, in his job search. It was there in every rejection letter, in every closed door, in every opportunity lost. Some people would have given up. Some would have said, "Enough. This is not for me." But Jack was different. He did not stop. He did not let failure break him. He believed. One day, something big would happen. He could feel it. He just didn't know when. His dream was to make something of himself, to do something meaningful, to prove that he was more than a boy who failed math, more than the man who couldn't get a job at KFC, more than the student rejected 10 times by Harvard. But where could he start? He had no money, no connections, no special skills. All he had was his love for English and a heart that refused to quit. He became an English teacher. It was not a high-paying job. His salary was $12 a month. But Jack loved it. He loved teaching, talking to students, inspiring them. He taught with passion. He made English fun. His students admired him. Parents respected him. For the first time, Jack felt like he had a place in the world. But he still wanted more. In 1995, something happened. A moment that would change his life forever. Jack traveled to the United States for a business project. It was his first time leaving China. Everything was different, new, exciting, full of possibilities. He saw big buildings, fast cars, people from all over the world. It was like stepping into the future. Then he discovered something extraordinary. The Internet. It was like magic. You could type words on a computer, press a button, and find information in seconds. It was something China did not have. No websites, no search engines, nothing. Jack was amazed. He wanted to try it himself. He typed beer into the search bar. Many results appeared. American beer, German beer, Japanese beer. But when he typed China, nothing. No information about his country. No websites about Chinese businesses. It was as if China did not exist on the Internet. That moment changed everything. Jack had an idea. A crazy idea. China needed the Internet. His hands shook with excitement. His mind raced. He could see the future. One day, Chinese companies would sell their products online. Small businesses would connect with the world. The internet would change everything. Jack had to make it happen. But when he returned to China, people laughed at him. The internet? That will never work here. They thought he was dreaming. They thought he was wasting his time. Jack didn't listen. He gathered a small group of friends. He shared his vision. He spoke with fire, with passion, with certainty. He told them, "We will build something. We will bring the internet to China. We will change the way business is done." They believed him. With no money, no office, no investors, they started working. Alibaba was born. At first, nobody cared. Nobody understood the internet. No one trusted it. Businesses didn't want to use it. Investors refused to help. Jack and his team struggled. Days passed. Weeks. Months. Nothing happened. But Jack did not give up. He worked harder. He knocked on more doors. He explained, convinced, persuaded. Some days he felt like a fool. Some nights he felt tired. But every morning he woke up and tried again. And then a breakthrough. One by one, small businesses started using Alibaba. They saw its power. They saw how it could help them. They told others. Slowly, Alibaba began to grow. Investors started to notice. Big companies paid attention. The internet was coming to China, and Jack Ma was leading the way. Years ago, no one believed in him. Now, the world was starting to listen. Jack had failed many times, but failure never stopped him, because deep inside, he always knew success belongs to those who never give up. Chapter 5. A trip that changed everything. Jack had always been curious. He loved learning new things, meeting new people, and exploring new ideas. But in 1995, he had no idea that one trip would change his life forever. He was invited to the United States to help with a business project. It was his first time leaving China. He had never been on an airplane before, never seen skyscrapers that touched the sky, never walked through streets full of flashing lights, fast cars, and people speaking different languages. Everything was new. Everything was exciting. Jack felt like he had stepped into another world. The buildings were taller, the roads were wider, the stores were bigger. But something else caught his attention. Something even more amazing. One day, a friend showed him a computer. It looked simple, like a TV with a keyboard. Jack had seen computers before, but he had never used one like this. His friend clicked on something, and suddenly, a world of information appeared on the screen. Jack's eyes widened. "What is this?" he asked. "The internet," his friend said. Jack leaned closer. The internet? He had never heard that word before. His friend smiled. You can search for anything. Type a word, and the internet will show you results. Jack was fascinated. Anything? Anything? He thought for a moment. Then he typed a word. Beer. In seconds, websites appeared. American beer, German beer, Japanese beer. There were companies, advertisements, and pictures. Jack was amazed. It felt like magic. Then he had an idea. He typed another word. China. He pressed enter. Nothing. No results, no websites, no information. It was as if China did not exist on the internet. Jack sat back. His heart beat faster. His mind raced. How could this be? How could the internet, so full of information, have nothing about his country? And then, a thought. China needs the internet. That idea stayed in his mind. It followed him everywhere. When he walked through the streets, when he talked to people, when he lay awake at night. He couldn't stop thinking about it. The world was changing. Information was moving fast. Businesses were going online. But China was being left behind. Jack knew what he had to do. When he returned to China, he was full of excitement. He told his friends about the internet. He explained how it could change everything, how it could help small businesses grow, how it could connect China with the world. But people laughed. The internet? It will never work here. Nobody needs it. Nobody understands it. Jack shook his head. They didn't see what he saw, but he wasn't going to stop. He borrowed money. He gathered a small team. He found a tiny apartment, and there, with old computers and slow connections, they started working. They built a website. A simple one. A place where Chinese businesses could find customers. It was slow. It was difficult. Many people still didn't believe in it. But Jack did. Every morning, he woke up with the same thought. This will work. And little by little, step by step, it began to grow. The world didn't know it yet. But something big was about to happen. Before we begin Chapter 6, a quick note for our listeners. You're currently listening to this audiobook on Woo English. Remember, this content is specially made for Woo English listeners only. If you're hearing it on any other channel, it may be a violation of Woo English's rights. Please ensure you're tuned into the right source to fully enjoy and respect this audiobook journey. Now, let's continue the story. Chapter 6. Alibaba is born. Jack had seen the future. He had touched it, felt it, understood it. The internet was not just a tool. It was a revolution. It could change everything. It could connect people, businesses, and dreams. And China? It was not ready. But Jack was. He returned home, his mind racing with ideas. He could barely sleep. The moment he stepped off the plane, he knew what he had to do. He had to bring the internet to China. Not just as an idea, not just as a story, but as something real. But he could not do it alone. One by one, he called his friends. Some were teachers, some were engineers. Some knew nothing about technology at all, but Jack did not care. He was not looking for experts, he was looking for believers. They met in his tiny apartment. The room was too small, too crowded, too hot. There were no fancy desks, no expensive computers, no investors, just a group of friends and a dream. Jack stood in front of them. His voice was full of energy, full of fire. "We will build a company," he said, "an internet company, a business that connects Chinese sellers to the world." Silence. Some looked at him with excitement. Others looked at him with doubt. "The internet is the future," he continued. "Small businesses in China need a way to sell their products. Right now, they have no connection to the world. We will give them that connection." Someone raised a hand. "But how?" Jack smiled. "We start small. We build a website. A place where businesses can meet buyers. We don't need to be big. We don't need to be rich. We just need to believe." Another voice spoke up. "What will we call it?" Jack thought for a moment. Then he said, "Alibaba." A few people nodded. Some looked confused. "Why Alibaba?" someone asked. Jack grinned. "Because everyone knows the story of Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. The name is easy to say in every language. It sounds mysterious. And when you hear it, you think of treasures, opportunities, and adventure." His friends listened. Slowly, they began to understand. But belief was not enough. There was a bigger problem, a huge problem. No money. They had no investors, no funding, no bank support. They had only their own savings. They used their own money to buy computers, to pay for a small website, to survive. Days passed, then weeks, then months. Alibaba was live, but nobody cared. Jack and his team worked day and night. They built the platform. They reached out to businesses. They explained how the internet could help them. But most people did not believe them. The internet? That's just a game. It's a waste of time. Nobody in China needs this. Rejection after rejection, doubt after doubt. Some of Jack's friends began to worry. Maybe this won't work, they said. Maybe we should stop. Jack shook his head. Number. We keep going. But we have no money. We will find a way. They were tired, hungry. Some even sold their furniture just to keep the company alive. But Jack refused to give up. Then, a breakthrough. One day, a small company in China decided to try Alibaba. They listed their products. Then, another company joined, and another. Slowly, businesses started to see the possibilities. Alibaba was growing. But there was still no money, no big investors. And then, something unbelievable happened. One morning, Jack received a call. The voice on the other end spoke in English. It was an investor from Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest financial companies in the world. We have been watching Alibaba, the man said. We like what we see. We want to invest. Jack's heart raced. Finally, someone believed in them. They received $5 million in funding. For the first time, Jack and his team could breathe. They could expand. They could hire more people. But just as things started to get better, a new challenge appeared. Competitors. Big ones. eBay, one of the largest online companies in the world, entered China. They were powerful. They had money. They had experience. Alibaba was still small, still struggling. Many people said, eBay will crush you. You can't win. Jack disagreed. We understand China better than they do. We know what small businesses need. We will fight. And they did. Alibaba worked harder. They offered better services. They made their platform free while eBay charged fees. Slowly, Alibaba started winning. More businesses joined, more buyers came. And one day, eBay left China. They couldn't compete. Alibaba had won. Jack stood in his small office, looking at his team. We did it, he said, but this is just the beginning. He was right. Alibaba was no longer just an idea. It was a force, a revolution, and Jack Ma, he was just getting started. Chapter 7. The Battle for Survival. Jack believed in Alibaba. He saw its future, its potential, its power. But the world was not so sure. Investors turned away. Banks refused loans. People laughed. Competitors grew stronger. Alibaba was still small, still struggling, still fighting to survive. Jack was not afraid. He stood in front of his team, his voice steady, his eyes full of fire. "We will not give up," he said. "We will fight for this company. We will show the world what Alibaba can do." His team listened. They trusted him. But trust was not enough. They needed money. Without money, Alibaba could not grow. Without money, they could not hire workers, improve their platform, or compete with big companies. Jack knocked on doors. He made calls. He gave speeches. Again and again, he explained Alibaba's vision. Again and again, he heard the same answer: no. Some investors laughed. An internet company in China? Impossible. Others shook their heads. You'll never beat the competition. Jack smiled. He thanked them. Then he moved on. Rejection did not stop him. Doubt did not slow him down. Alibaba was growing, but it was not growing fast enough. Then the competitors arrived. Big, powerful companies. Foreign giants. Companies with millions of dollars. And one of them? eBay. eBay was one of the most successful internet businesses in the world. It had money. It had experience. It had power. And now it had entered China. People whispered, "Alibaba is finished." Jack shook his head. "No," he said. "We know China better than eBay does. We understand small businesses. We know our customers." He was right. eBay did not understand China's market. They charged fees. They used an American system. They did not listen to local businesses. Alibaba did the opposite. Jack made Alibaba's services free. He focused on trust, helping buyers and sellers build relationships. He worked harder, faster, smarter. Day by day, Alibaba grew stronger. But the company was still losing money. Jack gathered his team. "Hold on," he said. "Believe in the company. Believe in each other. If we stay strong, we will win." It was not easy. Employees worked long hours. Some slept in the office. Some ate only instant noodles. Some worried. "What if we fail?" they asked. Jack smiled. "Then we try again." And then something happened. An investor appeared. A company called SoftBank believed in Alibaba. They saw its potential. They saw Jack's passion. They saw the future. SoftBank invested $20 million in Alibaba. For the first time, the company could breathe. They improved their website. They expanded their team. They fought harder. And one day, eBay gave up. They left China. Alibaba had won. Jack stood in front of his team. "We survived," he said, "but this is just the beginning." He was right. Alibaba was no longer small, no longer weak, no longer unknown. But survival was only the first step. The real challenge was just beginning. Chapter 8. The Big Break. Jack had fought for years. He had faced rejection, doubt, and failure. He had watched competitors rise, investors walk away, and banks close their doors. He had seen Alibaba struggle to survive, but he had never lost hope. Then something changed. One day, Jack received a call. The voice on the other end spoke in English. It was from SoftBank, a powerful investment company from Japan. They had been watching Alibaba. They had seen Jack's determination, his passion, his vision, and now they wanted to help. Jack listened carefully. His heart pounded. His company was running out of money. They needed support. They needed a miracle. And SoftBank gave them one. $20 million. It was more money than Jack had ever imagined. It was more than just an investment. It was a lifeline. It was Alibaba's chance to grow, to fight, to become something bigger than anyone had thought possible. Jack gathered his team. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled with excitement. "We did it," he said. "We have what we need. Now we move forward." The office erupted in cheers. Some employees hugged. Some wiped away tears. They had worked day and night, never knowing if Alibaba would survive. Now they had hope. But money was not enough. Jack knew that. The competition was still strong. eBay was still in China, still fighting for control. Other internet companies were growing. The market was changing. Jack did not relax. He did not celebrate for long. Instead, he worked harder. With the investment, Alibaba expanded. They hired more people. They improved their website. They made their services faster, better, easier to use. They focused on small businesses. They helped local sellers find customers, build trust, and grow. Jack knew that eBay was strong, but he also knew their weakness. They did not understand China. They did not listen to local businesses. Jack did. He traveled across the country. He met small business owners. He asked them what they needed. He listened. He learned. And then he made a bold decision. Alibaba's services would be free. eBay charged businesses to use their platform. Alibaba would not. People thought Jack was crazy. "How will we make money?" someone asked. Jack smiled. "First, we build trust. Then we build a business. The strategy worked. More and more businesses joined Alibaba. More sellers, more buyers, more success. Then the moment came. eBay began to lose ground. They had money, but they did not have the trust of the people. Alibaba was winning. And then eBay left China. Jack stood in his office, looking at his team. They were exhausted but smiling. They had done what many thought was impossible. Alibaba had won, but Jack was not finished. He looked at the future. He saw something bigger, something beyond China. Alibaba had survived. Alibaba had grown. Now it was time to take on the world. Chapter 9. Facing Giants, Amazon and eBay. Jack had won one battle, but the war was far from over. His company had survived against the odds. It had grown from nothing. It had beaten eBay in China. But now, new challenges were waiting. Bigger, stronger competitors were watching. Alibaba was growing fast. More businesses were joining. More customers were using the platform. But success brought attention. Attention from the giants, Amazon, eBay, other powerful technology companies. They saw China as the next big market. They wanted control. They wanted to dominate. Jack knew they were coming. These companies were huge. They had billions of dollars. They had experience. They had teams of experts. They had already conquered markets in the United States, in Europe, in many other places. Could Alibaba survive against them? Jack believed it could. He knew something the foreign companies didn't. He understood China. He understood its people, its culture, its businesses, and most importantly, he understood small business owners, the heart of China's economy. Big companies didn't scare him. He had faced rejection his whole life. He had failed exams, been turned down for jobs, and struggled to get investors. But every time, he had come back stronger. This would be no different. Jack knew that small businesses needed something different from what Amazon and eBay offered. They needed trust. They needed relationships. They needed a platform that understood them, not just one that collected fees. So, he made a decision. Alibaba would not try to copy Amazon or eBay. It would be something unique, something built for China. Instead of charging businesses to sell, Alibaba would focus on helping them grow. Trust was more important than money. Jack worked harder than ever. He met with business owners, listened to their concerns, and made changes to the platform. He improved the payment system, making transactions safer and faster. He made it easier for businesses to reach customers. Step by step, Alibaba grew stronger. Meanwhile, Amazon and eBay struggled. They followed their usual strategies. They charged high fees. They used foreign business models. They expected China to adapt to them. But China didn't. Small businesses didn't trust them. They didn't understand how to use their systems. They wanted something familiar, something local. Alibaba gave them that. As the months passed, the competition became fierce. Amazon tried to expand. eBay lowered prices. They fought hard to stay in the market. But Alibaba kept winning. Jack's company had something the others did not: deep connections with small businesses. Every store owner, every supplier, every entrepreneur. They trusted Alibaba. And then the giant started to retreat. Amazon scaled back. eBay gave up. Alibaba had done the impossible. Jack stood in his office, looking at the numbers on the screen. His team watched him, waiting for his reaction. He smiled. "We won," he said. But deep inside, he knew this was just the beginning. Alibaba was no longer just a company. It was a revolution, and the world was about to see just how powerful it could become. Chapter 10. The billion-dollar success. Jack had always believed Alibaba would change the world. But even he could not have imagined how fast it would grow. What started as a small idea in his tiny apartment had become a company worth billions. Businesses from every corner of China were using Alibaba. Small sellers, big suppliers, factories, retailers. Everyone wanted to be part of it. The numbers were unbelievable. Sales skyrocketed. More users joined every day. More businesses trusted Alibaba with their products. Investors were watching. The world was watching. And then something incredible happened. Alibaba went public. The company was listed on the New York Stock Exchange. It was the biggest initial public offering, IPO, in history. People around the world bought Alibaba shares. Jack became a billionaire overnight. The man who had once been rejected by KFC, who had failed exams, who had been told no more times than he could count, was now one of the richest men on the planet. The world called him a genius, a visionary, a leader of the digital age. But Jack didn't let success change him. He still wore simple clothes. He still gave motivational speeches. He still laughed the same way. However, with success came new challenges. Big companies wanted a share of Alibaba's market. They saw its power, its influence, its reach. They wanted to compete. They wanted to win. Governments started paying attention. Regulators asked questions. Was Alibaba too powerful? Was it changing business too fast? Was Jack becoming too influential? Then came the critics. Some said Alibaba controlled too much. Others said Jack was growing too fast. Some called him a threat to traditional businesses. Others said his company was not following the rules. Jack faced pressure from every side, but he stayed calm. He reminded his team of their mission. "We are here to help small businesses," he said. "That will never change." Yet, the challenges kept coming. Laws tightened, regulations increased, competitors fought harder. And then, something unexpected happened. One day, Jack gave a speech. A bold speech. A speech about the financial system. He spoke about change, about freedom, about the future of technology. And suddenly, he disappeared. For months, Jack was nowhere to be seen. No public appearances, no interviews, no speeches. The world asked, "Where is Jack Ma?" Rumors spread. Was he in trouble? Was he forced to step back? Was Alibaba facing its biggest challenge yet? The mystery remained. And when Jack finally returned, something had changed. He was no longer the face of Alibaba. He had stepped down as CEO. He had chosen a different path. But his influence? It was still there. His legacy? It was unshakable. Alibaba was not just a company. It was an empire. And Jack Ma? He had become more than a businessman. He was an icon, a legend, a symbol of resilience. His journey was proof of one thing. Success is not about never failing. It is about never giving up. Chapter 11. Trouble in Paradise. Jack had built an empire. Alibaba was everywhere. Small businesses depended on it. Big companies relied on it. Millions of people used it every day. It had become more than just a business. It was a way of life. With great success came great power. And with great power came attention. Not all of it was good. The government was watching. At first, things seemed normal. Jack was still giving speeches, still inspiring young entrepreneurs, still dreaming about the future. He talked about technology, business, and innovation. But then, one day, he said something different. He criticized the financial system. He spoke about change. He challenged the way things were done. His words were bold, maybe too bold. And then, Jack disappeared. No speeches, no interviews, no public appearances. The world asked, "Where is Jack Ma?" His company said nothing. His friends said nothing. The government said nothing. The silence was loud. The rumors began. Had he been forced to step back? Was Alibaba in trouble? Would his company survive? People waited for answers. Days passed, then weeks, then months. No one knew what was happening. Meanwhile, Alibaba faced investigations. Regulators stepped in. Laws changed. Some of the company's businesses were restricted. Jack had always believed in never giving up. But this was different. This was bigger than competition. Bigger than business. Alibaba's stock fell. Investors worried. Employees whispered. Some believed Jack would return stronger than ever. Others feared his time was over. And then, after months of silence, Jack reappeared. But he was different. His speeches were gone. His confidence seemed softer. He stepped away from the company's leadership. The message was clear. Alibaba would go on. But Jack's role in it had changed. His journey had taken a new turn. The man who had once fought against giants was now facing something he had never faced before. And the world was still watching. Chapter 12. The Legacy of Jack Ma. Jack had built something incredible. From a tiny apartment in Hangzhou to one of the biggest companies in the world, his journey had been full of challenges, victories, and surprises. He had fought against rejection, competition, and even government pressure. He had become a billionaire, a global icon, and a symbol of perseverance. But now, in 2024, he was no longer the face of Alibaba. His role had changed. His life had taken a new path. Yet his story was far from over. Stepping away from Alibaba was not the end. It was a transition. Jack had always believed in new beginnings. He had never been afraid of change. He had always been a dreamer, a risk-taker, someone who looked at the future with excitement. And even after stepping down, he was still full of ideas. His influence remained. Entrepreneurs still studied his speeches. Young business owners still looked up to him. His story was told in classrooms, in offices, in conferences. The boy who had once failed his exams had become an example of success. Jack was not the kind of person to retire and disappear. He had too much energy, too much curiosity, too much passion for learning and teaching. After leaving Alibaba, he turned his focus to something new: education. He had always believed that education was the key to success. He had struggled in school, but he had also learned the importance of persistence. He knew that the future depended on knowledge, on young minds, on innovation. So he began investing in education. He traveled, he visited schools, he met with teachers and students. He wanted to improve education, to bring technology into classrooms, to help children in rural areas. He believed that true success was not about money, it was about impact. But Jack was not only interested in education, he was also fascinated by agriculture. Many people were surprised. Agriculture? Why would a tech billionaire care about farming? But Jack saw something others didn't. He saw potential. He saw problems that needed solutions. He saw how technology could transform farming, how artificial intelligence and data could help farmers produce more food, waste less, and work more efficiently. He once said, "In the future, the richest people will not be those who own companies, but those who own land and know how to use it." He started working with farmers, investing in agricultural projects, and studying how China and the world could improve food production. Once again, he was thinking ahead, looking beyond the present. Even after all his success, Jack remained a storyteller. He loved sharing ideas. He loved inspiring others. His speeches continued to motivate people. His lessons were simple but powerful. Never give up. See problems as opportunities. If you want to be successful, help others succeed. The world changed around him. The business landscape evolved. New companies rose. New challenges appeared. But Jack's name remained a symbol of possibility. Alibaba continued to grow without him at the helm. His company, his vision, had become bigger than just one man. It was an empire, a revolution, a part of everyday life in China and beyond. But what was next for Jack Ma? Would he return to the business world? Would he create something new? Would he focus on philanthropy? Would he disappear from public life? Only time would tell. One thing, however, was certain. Jack Ma's story was not just about money or business. It was about resilience, about courage, about turning failure into success. His journey was a reminder that success is never easy, that behind every victory there are struggles, that behind every great achievement there is a story of never giving up. For millions of people around the world, Jack Ma was not just a businessman. He was an inspiration, a teacher, a dreamer. And his legacy? It was only just beginning.